told me to remind you guys that he will still be in videos for a few weeks because of videos he has already recorded. All right, back to the video.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Cantalupo. Sneakers are one of America's biggest contributions to the world of fashion. Right up there with the good old blue jeans and baseball caps, and they've probably never been bigger than they are right now. In fact, today's sneaker might just be the ultimate fashion statement as I wear my dirty brown white Aldo sneakers. Bill Cunningham, who was a New York Times photographer, certainly thought so. He once said, "The young men's sneakers are what the elaborate handbags were to women at the turn of this century, when the all-important handbag was the statement." I certainly know a good handbag when I see it, but of course, sneakers aren't just fashion statements. They're also a multi-billion-dollar global industry, and no single person on this earth profits more from this industry than the greatest basketball player who ever lived, Michael Jordan. Thought I was going to say LeBron James, didn't you? How much money are we talking? It's estimated that Nike and its Air Jordan brand combined to sell over $3 billion worth of basketball shoes in 2017 alone. Michael Jordan's cut as the guy whose logo is on every pair, a cool $100 million. Of course, a lot of people would trade places with MJ in a heartbeat, but not everybody. There's actually a dark, unseemingly underbelly to Jordan's vast wealth, and a lot of people resent him for that. Over the years, Air Jordan sneakers have been at the center of numerous riots, robberies, assaults, and even murders. Jordan's critics accuse the basketball legend of exploiting poor kids from their inner city, watching them kill each other for his shoes while he smokes expensive cigars on his private yacht. MJ's biggest critic, former NBA All-Star Stephon Marbury. In fact, over the last 10 years, Marbury's mission in life has been to topple Jordan's sneaker empire. Today, we're going to take a look at Marbury's quest to take down Air Jordans, but to do that, we've got to understand the problem with Jordans, and to do that, we've got to start all the way back at the very beginning. So sit back and enjoy the ride. Converse introduced what would become the Chuck Taylor All-Stars over 100 years ago in 1917. By the 60s, 90% of college and professional basketball players wore Chucks, and Converse controlled 80% of the US sneaker market. Converse's biggest impact didn't come on the court. However, it came on the streets when fashion icons started wearing Chucks. Sneakers became fashion icons in themselves. In the end, Converse would reign as king of the sneaker world for over 60 years. However, in the 1970s, new players entered the game and knocked Converse off its throne. And no, it was not Nike. By the 80s, Adidas and Puma dominated the sneaker game. Nike had some inroads in the sneaker game, but no self-respecting basketball player or rapper would be caught wearing them. But that all changed in 1984. Looking to make a dent in the basketball sneaker market, the Swoosh signed a 21-year-old kid out of North Carolina to a 5-year endorsement deal worth $2.5 million. That kid, of course, was Michael Jordan. The funny thing is, at first, Jordan didn't even want to sign with Nike. He wanted to sign with Adidas, but Adidas didn't want him. Then he went out and became the greatest, most recognizable basketball player, maybe athlete of all time, and in the process, he made Air Jordan one of the biggest fashion brands on the planet and the #1 name in basketball sneakers. Today's sneakers in general, but Air Jordans especially, have never been more popular. Kids camp out in front of stores for days prior to highly anticipated releases. Full-grown men have custom-built cases to display Air Jordan collections with tens of thousands of dollars worth of shoes. New pairs retail to $200 to $300. Rare vintage pairs can sell for thousands of dollars on eBay. According to market research, U.S. sneaker sales rose 2% in 2017 to $19.6 billion. Nike is estimated to own 37 to 39% of the overall sneaker market, but they have an absolute stronghold on the competition when it comes to the basketball category. It's estimated that in 2017, Nike's shares of the $1 billion performance basketball market was a whopping 73.5%, while the Nike-owned Jordan brand grabbed another 7.8%. So in total, Nike owns 81.3% of the market, worth around $813 million. But that's nothing compared to the retro basketball sneaker market. It's estimated that it was worth an astounding $3 billion in 2017. Jordan brand owned a 65% share of that, selling $1.95 billion worth of sneakers. They were followed by Nike at 23% and Adidas at just 9%. Together, Nike and their Jordan brand sold roughly $2.64 billion worth of retro basketball sneakers in 2017 alone. Add to that the $813 million of performance basketball sales, and the grand total comes to $3.45 billion. Michael Jordan only made $90 million in salary over the course of his entire NBA career, which ended 14 years ago. But in 2017, at the age of 54, Jordan made $100 million from the sale of Air Jordans, just as he did in 2016, 2015, and 2014. Sadly, while all the ubiquity and cultural transcendence of Air Jordans have made Michael Jordan an incredibly rich man, a lot of people think they've bought nothing but pain and heartache to inner cities. From the very beginning, Nike mastered the art of creating hype. On October 18, 1984, Michael Jordan wore the black and red Nike Airships for a Bulls preseason game. These sneakers were the prototype for the Air Jordan 1, and they clearly violated the NBA's strict rules about what colors were allowed on sneakers. Nike knew this, of course they do this. Jordan knew this, of course he knew this. But breaking the rules was precisely the point. After receiving a letter from the league, Jordan never again wore the Nike Airships during a game. For the remainder of his rookie season, he complied with the rules. But Nike built their entire marketing campaign about the idea that Jordan's signature shoes were so bold and so groundbreaking that they were banned by the NBA. Smart. Let's not forget the now famous Spike Lee "It's Gotta Be the Shoes" commercial as a result of a brilliant marketing campaign. Air Jordans were instantly the most sought after sneakers in the entire world. However, they were also some of the most expensive. The original Air Jordan 1 retailed at $65 in 1985, which is equivalent to $152 in 2018. By '89, Jordans were retailing for as much as $115, which is equivalent to $220 in 2018. That's a lot of money for most people, but it's an impossible amount for kids in an inner city. As a result, for over 30 years, Air Jordans have been the ultimate status symbol for urban youth. And sadly, a lot of young people have been willing to steal or even kill for Jordans. The stories are absolutely heartbreaking. On May 2nd, 1989, in Maryland, a 15-year-old boy named Michael Eugene Thomas was found strangled to death in the woods by his high school. The culprit, Michael's 17-year-old basketball teammate, James David Martin. The motive? James wanted Michael's 2-week-old $115 Jordans. On December 21st, 2012, in Houston, a 22-year-old named Joshua Woods bought 3 pairs of the Jordan 11s for $185. Later that day, armed assailants approached Woods in his parked car, demanded he hand over the sneakers, and then shot him to death when he refused. And it doesn't just end there. On December 14th, 2017, in Washington, D.C., Benita Smith gave her 17-year-old son, James Anthony Smith, an early Christmas present, a $220 pair of bright red Air Jordans. Just 4 days later, on December 18th, James Anthony Smith was shot in the back at a community center basketball court. Smith's friends found him a block away with no shoes on his feet. He died at the hospital 2 days later. The epidemic of kids killing each other for Jordans was first brought to light by sports reporter Rick Telander in a bombshell cover story for Sports Illustrated back in 1990. Telander actually interviewed Jordan for that piece and asked him what he thought about the rash of murders over his own shoes. Telander wrote that Jordan was nearly moved to tears. "I thought I'd be helping out others and everything would be positive," Jordan told Telander. "I thought people would try to emulate the good things I do. They try to achieve to be better. I never thought because of my endorsement of a shoe or any product that people would harm each other." Jordan promised he would reevaluate things in the light of all of the violence sparked by his shoe, but that never actually happened. Nike went on running the hype machine at full speed, whipping people into a frenzy over $200 sneakers. Kids went on getting killed over them, and Jordan went on cashing the checks. And that brings us to Stephon Marbury, the 4th overall draft pick in 1996 and a 2-time NBA All-Star. Marbury understands firsthand what it's like to lust after Jordans. As a kid growing up in Brooklyn, he begged his mom for them constantly, but he always knew the answer would be no. Marbury was one of 7 children, and his parents couldn't afford to buy him $100 sneakers. Marbury has talked openly about the stress that it put on his family. The kids unhappy because they can't get the cool kicks. The parents unhappy because they want to buy the shoes for their kids, but know that they can't. Fortunately, Marbury never resorted to violence to make the sneaker dreams come true, but he witnessed firsthand how Air Jordans poisoned the hood. And when he was all grown up and playing for his hometown New York Knicks, Marbury decided to take action. In 2006, Marbury began his quest to topple the Air Jordan empire by partnering with the retail chain Steve & Barry's to create a line of sneakers that kids could actually afford, and they were a total hit. Steve & Barry's was the coolest store ever. The centerpiece of the line was Marbury's signature shoe, the Starbury 1. The retail price, just $14.95. The Starbury 1 actually sold well in the New York tri-state area and earned a ton of good publicity. Media juggernauts like 2020, Oprah, they were all doing pieces on Stephon and made a mission to stop the madness Air Jordans have brought to the ghetto. Unfortunately, not long after the Starbury 1 was launched, Marbury's tenure with the Knicks started to fall apart. By 2009, his NBA career was done and his sneaker line discontinued, but let me tell you, Starburys growing up in New York were the coolest thing back when I was in school. But amazingly, this is not the end of the story. Looking for a change of scenery in 2010, Marbury signed with the Chinese Basketball Association. Yes, the Chinese Basketball Association. It did not take long for Marbury to establish himself as a superstar in the CBA. He eventually led the Beijing Ducks to 3 CBA titles in 4 years and became the face of the league. He's since been immortalized with statues and postage stamps. In 2015, Marbury decided to use his newfound fame in China to revive the Starbury line and renew his crusade on Air Jordans. This time around, Marbury did not mince words. He went after Michael Jordan and Nike like nobody had ever done before. In a string of blistering tweets in October of 2015, Marbury said it was insane to pay $200 for sneakers that cost them $5 to make. Then he accused Jordan of robbing the hood and not caring about kids getting killed for Jordans. And that was all just the beginning. In subsequent interviews hyping the relaunch of the Starbury line, Marbury accused Jordan and Nike of selling a false reality and insisted Starburys aren't about making money. In a 2016 interview with ESPN, Marbury said, "I've learned that shoes that cost $150 don't cost that much to make, which drives me even more to continue building my brand globally for more people to have an opportunity to buy shoes at an affordable price. My brand is for the people who can't afford and those in need. In 2016, Marbury launched the Starbury Elite Light Up. The sneaker featured a detachable collar so it could be worn as a high top or a low top. It also featured LED lights on the shoes. They actually pair with a smartphone app to flash and sync with whatever beats users were listening to. Retail price, $48.98. In 2018, Marbury launched a Back to Basics Starbury 3, just a straight up performance basketball sneaker. It comes in all black or white or red, and it retails at just $24.98. Today, Starbury also offers a number of other sneakers and runners for adults and children through their online store, all of which range from $15 to $20. Obviously, Stephon Marbury does not have Michael Jordan shaking in his $200 sneakers. His Starbury line is doing well in China, where Marbury is a basketball god, but he hasn't even made a blip on the US sneaker radar, and it probably never will. But that won't stop Marbury from fighting the good fight against overpriced sneakers. And if that just saves one hardworking family a little grief and heartache, it will all have been worth it. Thank you, Stephon Marbury. Keep fighting the good fight. Until next time, I'm Mike Cantalupo. Thanks.